Good morning, listeners and viewers of Concerned Citizens Media. Welcome back and nice to have you here. Here are the news and Concerned Citizens Media comments for January 2021. The Ethiopian Prosperity Party Election Board eliminated Tigrayan Peoples Liberation Front or TPLF from future Ethiopian politics and made it illegal for TPLF to conduct any political business in the future. TPLF was a major part of the Ethiopian Peoples Revolutionary Democratic Front or EPRDF coalition, which was formed in 1991. TPLF was also the dominant political party in Ethiopian politics for the last 27 years until it was removed by Keros, Kares, and other revolutionary forces in the year 2018. Currently, TPLF is waging a war against Prosperity Party in its own region, Tigray. The Prosperity Party Election Board also disqualified two additional political parties for not fulfilling its requirements. These are Gumuz Peoples Democratic Movement and the Coalition for Unity and Democracy Party. The Prosperity Party Election Board also announced that 52 political parties have fully qualified and fulfilled all its requirements and approved to compete in the coming 6 Ethiopia's national election. Credit Burtukan Mideksa from Prosperity Party Election Board and Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation. So this is very major development from Ethiopia and Prosperity Party Election Board. PP is eliminating different parties so that they, to facilitate the pathway to victory. So TPLF is out of the game for now, plus these two and the previous parties. One time, the Abiy Ahmed was talking about, cutting the parties into smaller numbers. Now Abiy is doing that, make it smaller numbers so it will be easy for him to compete and win election with the help of Burtukan Mideksa. Oromo Media Network, OMN, Board of Directors appointed Mr. Muhammad Abdosh as the OMN Global Head Person. Mr. Muhammad Abdosh completed his first degree in computer, mathematics, and engineering. Mr. Muhammad Abdosh applied his academic excellence for the development and expansion of Oromia Media Network. Mr. Abdosh served as Oromia Media Network Deputy Director from 2014 to 2019. Mr. Abdosh promised to expand OMN operations and to make it a competitive media network in the world. Mr. Muhammad Abdosh and the OMN team developed the 3 guiding principles, which they call them the 3 Ps, which are passion, performance, and professionalism. These principles played major roles for OMN advancement in a very short period. Johar Muhammad was the director of OMN, and he played a pivotal leadership role in the OMN contribution for Keros and Kare's success in toppling the TPLF-dominated Ethiopian politics in 2018. However, Abiy Ahmed and his supporters have hijacked OMN, Keros, and Kare's victories for their own advantages. These opportunists have also exposed Keros and Kares for further atrocities and bloodshed in Ethiopia. Partial credit for OMN for this news. The killing of Oromos continue in various parts of Oromia. Prosperity Party security forces have been intimidating, arresting, and even killing the residents of Buno Badalle in Chawaga district by blaming them that your sons are with OLF and they are killing us. Mr. Sultan Bushra and a woman taken from their homes, killed, and their bodies were thrown into the forest. Two teenagers from this same area also killed just before a week ago, and their bodies were left in the forest. Even the prosperity forces refused their proper burials. In RC, Adaba district, the harassment, intimidation, and arrests against Oromos residents have also continued, accusing them of supporting Oromo Liberation Front. Pregnant woman is among the detainees that have taken into custody by Abiy Ahmed security forces in the same area. Her name is secured for now for her safety. Credit OMN. President Donald Trump is making history in a different and unfriendly ways. He dismissed the traditions that go with leaving the White House. So that's history by itself. He hasn't contacted President-elect Biden and will be the first president in 150 years to boycott his successor's inauguration. For 150 years, never happened. So Trump is making history in an other and ugly way, unfriendly way. Credit CNN. Mother got warning for leaving her 4 years in her running car. The police in Oregon are looking for a man who they say stole a car with a child in the back seat, only to return the 4-year-old and reprimand the mom about her parenting. The theft took place outside a grocery store in Beaverton, Oregon on Saturday, when the mom left the car running with a child in the back seat, local authorities said. The mother left the car unlocked and went inside to buy a gallon of milk and some meat, according to the Oregonian. The thief happened to be walking by and hopped in the car, the New York Post reported. The thief soon realized the 4-year-old was in the back seat and pulled back into the parking lot, returned the child to the mother and warning her badly not to do it again. He actually lectured the mother for leaving the child in the car and threatened to call the police on her. A Beaverton police spokesman, Matt Henderson, told the Oregon Credit Insider.com. So this is not a bad thief. So he returned the child, but he didn't return the car. So he's not a bad thief. And he warned the mother not to leave the child in a running car and leave the child in the running car and unlocked car. So that's not a bad thief. The United States ambassador to Uganda was blocked by Ugandan security forces from visiting presidential candidate Bobi Wine on Monday. Bobi Wine, a singer turned politician whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi. Yeah, it's very hard to pronounce. Robert Kyagulanyi, but Bobi Wine is, it's easy. Has been under his house arrest after the military surrounded his home on Friday, on the country's national election day. Ambassador Natalie E. Brown went to Wine's residence to check on his health and safety because he has effectively been unable to leave his home, with security forces surrounded his residence. The embassy in Kampala said in a Facebook post. Speaking through one of his associates, Bobi Wine said he had run out of food and that Brown was unable to leave any with him. Bobi Wine rejected Saturday's election results, saying has evidence of fraud and intimidation. Uganda's government spokesman Ofwano Opondo wrote in an opinion piece that Brown shouldn't cry for Ugandans. Brown is the ambassador, the American ambassador in Uganda. So this is Uganda's government criticizing and trashing the ambassador. Brown shouldn't cry for Ugandans. If U.S. democracy was unsaleable, Brown should first note President Donald Trump's false election fraud claims and the Capitol riot, he added. The embassy called on Museveni's government to respect its citizens' human rights and fundamental freedom and to uphold international human rights standards. So we are already criticized by Uganda for the action of Trump. That is the damage done by Trump by refusing to accept the defeat and by claiming, fraud and irregularity about elections. So how the Americans can say about other elections when you try to say like this in Uganda, the Ugandan government is blaming you, hitting back. That is the consequence of Trump's irresponsibility for not accepting the defeat, for changing the tradition. When he was competing against Hillary Clinton, she accepted the defeat for the sake of the country. He should have done in the same way, but this is a different guy. He liked to claim false fraud. He was defeated 60 times. Still now, at the last minute, he keep claiming he is the winner. Now he's just gonna leave without saying congratulations to President-elect Biden, without showing him like Obama did for him. You know, that is a tradition. So he broke all the tradition, and the foreign countries are also hitting back for our democracy. So we cannot criticize other countries' election because they're gonna hit us back because of Trump. So that is the reading part, and now let's see some videos. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So the first one is UN briefing on Ethiopia. Let's see. Just give me time. Let's see. Come on. Let's start. There we go. Come on. This is a very short video.
The head of the peacekeeping mission in Mali, Mohamed Salif Anadif, also attended the ceremony. Since his arrival in the country, Mr. Lacroix has had a series of
I think the next one.
political leaders and the UN's partners, and his visit will go on tomorrow. And from South Sudan, the UN mission there tells us it's deploying additional peacekeeping troops and resources to Bunj in the Upper Nile region following recent clashes. The mission said it is enhancing its peacekeepers' ability to conduct more frequent patrols. Peacekeepers recently assessed the security situation in the area. They met with the country's commissioners and others to understand what the community is experiencing given the current instability and tension. The mission is also helping to deliver humanitarian aid to those in need. There's more information on the web. Turning to Ethiopia, our humanitarian colleagues are telling us that although there have been some substantial improvements to movement of aid in Tigray, requests to the federal government for critical staff deployment and surge requests have been pending clearances for weeks. Overall, the humanitarian situation in Tigray is increasingly severe, with reports of fighting, human rights violations, and abuse, as well as increasing hunger and malnutrition affecting hundreds of thousands of people. Most of them have not received any assistance to date. I did want to note that the Deputy Humanitarian Coordinator for Ethiopia, Wafa Sahid, and other UN staff members have now been deployed to Mekele, the capital of Tigray. The team is working with aid agencies and local authorities to carry out assessments and coordinate the humanitarian response. And our colleagues at the UN Refugee Agency said today it had regained access last week to 2 refugee camps in Tigray. This is the first time in 2 months since the fighting forced aid workers to withdraw from the region. UNHCR led the first humanitarian mission since November to the Mayaini and the Adi Harush camps. Eritrean refugees were found in desperate need of supplies and services. The agencies was granted one-time access by Ethiopian authorities to assess the needs in the camps. The only assistance refugees have received since the start of the conflict was a one-time food distribution conducted by World Food Program nearly a month ago. The second delivery is hopefully expected soon. And the UN support mission in Libya conducted a one-day voting process yesterday. In it, members of the Libyan political dialogue.
Okay, that's the video about Ethiopia. Let's see the other one. Okay, the next one is the comparison between Ethiopia and Sudan. Let's see. Here we go.
This drug crisis is not Sudanese and Ethiopian military comparison. The Sudanese army ranks 76th out of 138 armies around the world, while the Ethiopian army ranks 60th. The Sudanese Air Force owns 190 assorted military aircraft, while the Ethiopian army has only 86 aircrafts. The Sudanese army has more than 690 combat tanks, while the Ethiopian army has 400 combat tanks. The Sudanese Air Force owns 73 military helicopters and 43 are attack helicopters, while the Ethiopian army has 33 military helicopters and 8 are attack helicopters. We will give you background information first and going back to see the detailed comparison. Ethiopia accuses Sudan of violating its border and calls for negotiations to address the crisis. But the Sudanese allegedly claim that the Ethiopian army carried out provocative operations, which resulted in the killing of civilians inside the Sudanese border. Tensions and military confrontations between Sudan and Ethiopia along their border have become imminent and flared since the start of the conflict in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region in early November. Sharing long border frontier, the two neighboring countries have long feuded over the Al-Fashqa region. The border tensions come at a time when Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt are also trying to resolve a three-way dispute over the controversial dam Ethiopia is building on the Blue Nile, known as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Ethiopia has accused Sudanese forces of pushing further into a contested border region that has been the site of deadly clashes in recent weeks, warning that its peaceful approach to the dispute has its limit. The Sudanese side seems to be pushing in so as to inflame the situation on the ground, Ethiopian Foreign Ministry spokesman Dina Mufti told reporters on Tuesday. Ethiopia claims that Sudan and Egypt seek war to deter Ethiopia from filling the dam, and if possible, to delay the filling of the dam indefinitely. Ethiopia says it has repeatedly reiterated its stand for peaceful solutions through negotiations. Ethiopia also expresses that Ethiopia is not an aggressor, but burial place for aggressors as history repeatedly witnessed. Ethiopia says it tries to promote peace more than war, and it deals with the crisis in calm and responsible way as it is win-win solution for every party involved. Disclaimer: we understand that war is ugly and costly. Not only in terms of the deaths and casualties, and the economic costs borne by the people involved, but also the psychological, social, developmental, environmental and strategic costs of conflict are far-reaching. We do not support war. We are not warmongering or encouraging or advocating aggression towards other countries, but we present informative facts. Hence, this is purely for comparison and by no means inciting war or conflict. This said, here is a comparison between the Sudan and Ethiopian armies based on figures provided by the Global Firepower website, accessed on January 12, 2021. Military rank out of 138 countries, Sudan, 67. Ethiopia, 60. Ethiopia ranks higher. Population, Sudan, 43,120,843. Ethiopia, 108,386,391. Ethiopia has more. Manpower available, Sudan, 24,061,430. Ethiopia, 41,143,474. Ethiopia has more. Fit for service, Sudan, 15,351,193. Ethiopia, 25,508,954. Ethiopia has more. Reaching military age annually, Sudan, 1,197,393. Ethiopia, 1,989,698. Ethiopia has more. Active personnel, Sudan, 104,000. Ethiopia, 162,000. Ethiopia has more. Reserve personnel, Sudan, 85,000. Ethiopia, 0 Sudan has more. Defense budget in USD, Sudan, 2,470,000,000. Ethiopia, 350 million. Sudan has more. Total aircraft, Sudan, 190. Ethiopia, 86. Sudan has more. Combat aircraft, Sudan, 46. Ethiopia, 24. Sudan has more. Dedicated attack, Sudan, 38. Ethiopia, 0 Sudan has more. Transport aircraft, Sudan, 22. Ethiopia, 9. Sudan has more. Trainers aircraft, Sudan, 11. Ethiopia, 20. Ethiopia has more. Helicopters, Sudan, 73. Ethiopia, 33. Sudan has more. Attack helicopters, Sudan, 43. Ethiopia, 8. Sudan has more. Combat tanks, Sudan, 690. Ethiopia, 400. Sudan has more. Armored vehicles, Sudan, 400. Ethiopia, 114. Sudan has more. Self-propelled artillery, Sudan, 10. Ethiopia, 67. Ethiopia has more. Field artillery, Sudan, 0 Ethiopia, 650. Ethiopia has more. Rocket projectors, Sudan, 0 Ethiopia, 183. Ethiopia has more. Fleet strength, Sudan, 18. Ethiopia, 0 Sudan has more. Coastal patrol, Sudan, 12. Ethiopia, 0 Sudan has more.
Okay, so that's is a good comparison between Ethiopia between Sudan and Ethiopia. So just for information, some area Sudan is weak, some area Ethiopia is stronger, and in some area Sudan is stronger, and other area Ethiopia is weaker. This is for information only. So it's useful for the country's leader to see the strengths and the weakness of the country in all areas. We have more than enough human resources. We are more than 100 million people, which is good. We don't have shortage of human power. We can train and send them, but in machines and some areas we have weakness. So that's just for information. And the last video for today is about the last day of President Donald Trump. We're gonna conclude with this video. Okay, let's see. Now, come on. Okay. So this is a goodbye for Mr. Donald Trump. And this video credit is WION video, and the TV I think is maybe Indian. Let's see. It's a very short one. There we go.
Last full day as the President of the United States. In less than 24 hours from now, he will leave the White House and make way for the 46th U.S. President, Joe Biden, to take over. The preparations for the transition are on in full swing. We'll bring you up to speed with what's happening in Washington, and we'll start with these images. This is the capital of the United States of America. These pictures are a reminder of the difficult times America is living in. A field of flags has been set up at the U.S. National Mall. There are at least 200,000 of them. They're meant to represent Americans who will not be able to attend the inauguration. Presidential inaugurations, you see, have traditionally drawn hundreds of thousands of people. But thanks to the Wuhan virus and the security concerns, this year the ceremony has been scaled back. The inauguration will largely be a digital affair, but there will be no dearth of entertainment. Look at these images now. Singer Justin Timberlake rehearsing for the inauguration. He'll be performing along with a host of other top artists like Jon Bon Jovi, Demi Lovato, Jennifer Lopez, and Lady Gaga. Meanwhile, the First Lady of America, Melania Trump, has delivered her farewell remarks. In a televised speech, she said that the last 4 years have been unforgettable. They surely have been. Listen to this.
My fellow Americans, it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as First Lady of the United States. I have been inspired by incredible Americans across our country who lift up our communities through their kindness and courage, goodness and grace. The past 4 years have been unforgettable. As Donald and I conclude our time in the White House, I think of all of the people I have taken home in my heart and their incredible stories of love, patriotism, and determination.
Speaking of determination, some Trump supporters are still determined to overturn the election results. Look at these images now. They're from Richmond, Virginia. Heavily armed pro-Trump groups gathered around government buildings. They say they want to ensure that anti-inauguration demonstrations are held smoothly. They just don't want the police to mess with them.
Peacefully protest without any infringement from the police department. When we show up these things armed, they really don't mess with us. If we come out here unarmed, they've shown a history of doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Speaking of doing things one shouldn't be doing, on Monday, Donald Trump had announced that the travel ban on Europe and Brazil would be lifted. But Team Biden does not intend to lift the restrictions just yet. Look at this tweet by Jen Psaki, Joe Biden's press secretary. She has said that with the pandemic worsening and more contagious variants emerging around the world, this is not the time to lift restrictions. She has further added that the Biden administration will in fact strengthen public health measures around international travel. This back and forth only underlines how fractious the transition of power will be. Which brings us to Joe Biden's plan on immigration. It's in stark contrast from Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric and policies. The Biden administration is planning to unveil a sweeping immigration bill, a bill that will provide an 8-year path to citizenship for at least 11 million immigrants, 11 million people who are currently living in America without any legal status. Biden says that in 8 years, they will be declared American citizens. If successful, this legislation will be the biggest move towards granting legal status to immigrants in American history. Which brings us to another important question. How will history remember Donald Trump? Well, if approval ratings are anything to go by, President Trump will be remembered as the worst president in American history. I'm not saying this, opinion polls are. According to a recent poll conducted by Gallup, Trump's average approval rating throughout his presidency was 41%. 41. This is 4 points lower than any of his predecessors. Simply put, no American president has ever received such abysmally low approval ratings. Trump will leave office as the least positively evaluated president in American history. But he will certainly not leave office as the least entertaining. I'll leave you with this. Is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Okay, that's all. And
complicated, time-consuming, and costly.
thank you, VION Media, for making that video for Mr. Trump. Goodbye for Mr. Trump. I am glad he completed his term. That's really very good. I'm happy. That's tomorrow will be his last, maybe half day. He will be leaving to Florida. He is very divisive. The most conspiracy leader. It's terrible under his leadership, really. It's from the beginning. If you guys remember, he signed a bill banning Muslims from coming to the United States, even the citizens and the green card holders, just for being Muslim. He trashed African leaders, called them with bad names. I know they have some drawbacks, still supposed to be respected. We cannot trash them just by their color of their skin. He trashed the media. We will not hear fake news. I hope after this we will have a responsible public leaders starting tomorrow. Hopefully, the leaders who use common sense and science, the medical advice to deal with this virus, which killed already for more than 400,000 plus. And Trump was playing politics with that disease, even telling us to inject ourselves with some kind of Clorox or something. We are glad he is gone. That is the wrong type of leadership. Very wrong. Very wrong. And encouraging people to overturn the legitimate votes, millions of votes. He told them to go to the capital and take away the power. It's not in Africa, thankfully. This is the United States of America. He did a lot of damage. I hope Biden will fix it quickly, our global standing, so we can fully criticize others for not, accepting the results, for not respecting human rights, democracy. I think we can now. It may take times to fix his mess, but with Biden leadership, we will be okay on the global stage, whether it's environment, freedom of journalists, democracy, free and fair elections, in many other areas. So we are glad he is gone. Tomorrow is his last day. We will not see controversial remarks like trashing journalists, trashing media, trashing women, claiming unfounded things. This is all terrible. All terrible. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for taking your time. And I will be back with other news and videos. And tomorrow we have inauguration. We will follow it. We are happy to see Joe Biden and his team in the White House. We are in the right hand now, hopefully. And I wish them good luck. So long, everyone.